All right, good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you to episode 3 of Candid, conversations about faith and life. Now, I know last week we really got into a really great discussion and conversation, but it was unfortunately cut off, and we're hoping to be able to follow up that great discussion this evening. We're going to be continuing our discussion on Christians and crisis, and specifically tonight we're going to be focusing on the concepts of rights versus responsibility. Especially like recently we've been seeing how people have been pushing for their right to attend a church service, contrasting or clashing with the responsibility of making sure that people are safe. So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about the recent events of this week as well. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome my brothers to this discussion. So let's welcome Robert and Bill.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Pastor.
All right. Let's see. So, Bill, Robert, this whole concept of rights and responsibility. You know, we have two sides, it seems, that you have people that are really pressing for their right to assemble, which is a constitutional right, but then you have the other side that's pushing, maybe we should hold off and maybe we should love our neighbors and our members as ourselves to make sure that we wait a little bit longer to assemble in public spaces. So how do we navigate that? So let's start off. Robert, what do you say?
I kind of lean on the side of caring a little more for our neighbor and maybe a little less of my own rights. I find myself in one of the groups that is high risk, so maybe I'm being a little selfish, but I kind of think that we should wait a little and see how things happen rather than push what we want. It seems like to me people are trying to push back to get to whatever they call normal, their old normal. Maybe it's time to kind of sit back a little and see if we can find a new normal rather than push ahead with our rights. So I know it's simplistic, but
Bill, what do you say?
Well, like Robert, I'm in one of the high risk groups as well. So there is some self-protection that is coming into play there. But here's one of the things about this particular virus is that the information on the virus has changed, it seems like, on a daily basis. And that, once again, that has nothing to do with a conspiracy or having information that's slanted one way or another. That's the whole basis of science. One of the things that I tell my students is that what I'm teaching you today, in 10 years, if you practice it, that's going to be malpractice. I just don't know which part of it is going to be. And much of what we're seeing right now with this virus is it started out as affecting primarily older people, and now they're beginning to see in the resurgence, now it's affecting people under the age of 40. And so as far as churches and everything, because in large churches you can't socially distance, okay? That's just not going to happen. I think alternative measures of providing worship services, such as what we've been doing with the three churches in your district, are the ideal thing to do until we see exactly what happens. Because, I like what the governor says. He says, you don't want to have a service this week and at Christmas have empty spots in your pews because people have died. And so I think it's one of those things of we need to sacrifice our individual rights for the rights of the greater members within the church. It's not going to be forever. We're going to go back. But the bottom line here is that we shouldn't place ourselves or other church members in positions and then in positions of danger and then expect God to bail us out because we didn't use our common sense.
Right, but then, you have this thrown your way, and as a pastor, I get this quite a bit. What about faith? Don't we believe? Can't we claim the promises in Scripture where God is going to protect us from pestilence?